I have a question for you, bro.
What is that, dude? You always have a question. Seriously.
Yeah, you know, it's because you know what I say. I always say this to my friends, like, wise questions can lead to wise answers.
Okay, fine.
How about that?
Whatever floats your boat, my guy.
Well, humble yourself.
All right.
All
All right.
No, I just had a question about so when you fast,
Right.
what I've noticed is that like when you fast, it has to be like almost no, it's not almost. It should be something supernatural because you're like literally trying to get closer to God, which is supernatural too, right?
Yeah, it does. And in scripture, there's a fasting that God is not happy with. I believe in the book of Jeremiah. I don't know where, but I know it's somewhere, either in the chapter 30s, around there, where he's like displeased with the type of fasting that the people were doing. So God spoke through Jeremiah too. I'm pretty sure it's in Jeremiah. He then talks about the right fasting, right? So he says that when you fast, go do something. Don't just not do anything, right? And like put yourself in this absolute moment of suffering with sackcloth and the way they would do with throwing themselves with ashes. He was displeased with the type of fasting. When you fast, or when you're entering into that moment of fasting, you want to be doing something good, something good. Not that that's going to like do good work, but essentially that fasting that you do, you want to be active, right? You can undergo several things. Be active in doing the good work that you were made to do through Christ, or be in your secret place, correct? That being said, also Christ did say, when you fast, fast in secret. Anoint yourself so that no one knows that you're fasting. You want to make it not too obvious, right? Christ fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. I don't know if humans can do it for that long. Obviously, the Buddhists, they can fast for a long time, probably from a power of demons or something. I don't know. But,
so what you're saying is, well, also what I've got too is that, so when you're fasting, you're not doing it on your own strength. You're doing it on God's strength, supernaturally.
Well, correct. When you enter into fasting, you present it to God. God will be with you. You want to be fasting with him and attached to him. His strength is endless, right?
No, it is endless. And also, time to God is irrelevant.
Yeah. I don't know where they get fast with water. They would have to prove it to me somehow. But I do know where they get the fasting from legumes, because Daniel did it that way.
And why did Daniel do that?
Well, you need to understand too, he fasted with legumes. So it's not like he was just eating legumes during the way he was fasting. No, he would fast for however long he could. And then he would grab some sustenance by having a little bit of legumes, maybe like a dip or two or three, and then move on, continue further. It wasn't like he was stuffing himself with legumes at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're fasting for 3-4 days. Here comes, he gets like 1 or 2, 3 dabs of legumes or hummus, whatever that, because it's something similar to that. And then he was fine. He continued for who knows how long. It lasted for 21 days, right? Christ fasted for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. No food, no water.
In the cold and the heat, right?
Yeah, and at night it was cold, and then during the day it was like really hot.
Whoa.
So what I'm trying to say is that when you fast, it is a spiritual, I don't want to say the word practice or work, but it's almost like a spiritual duty, right? To draw near to God, right? A responsibility to be able to detach yourself from this flesh more, right? Or for the flesh to submit more to the spirit so that you can be more sensitive, or at least that what Christ is building in you as a new creature can be more magnified, if that makes more sense.
No, it does make sense.
Right? because his strength is endless, right? Like Philippians 4:13, like Paul says to the Philippians, right? Through Christ, I can do all things that strengthens me, right? Paul was referring to that type of strength in hardship. I mean, the things that they would go through, literally, were things of like going to prison, being chased. Like he was bitten by a snake and he still survived. Like he was on his way to Rome on a ship and his ship was wrecked by the waves. He survived it. Like all these things, all those chaotic moments is in which his strength was great upon his life. It wasn't because Paul was like racing or because he was an athlete or because he was doing all those things. And if anyone who's listening to this, really, whether it be as a musician, career, whatever you're trying to, whatever you have taken upon, whether that be athletics, whatever it is, this has nothing to do with that.
Oh, the Philippians
4:13, yeah,
yeah, where it's I see a lot of athletes using that. To me, I mean, I used to think that was a pretty awesome verse, but since I got closer to God and I realized that God is spirit more than ever, then I'm just like, I think I was referring that to the spiritual, because anyone can pick up a dumbbell and lift it, anyone can run, anyone can do all those things, right? But then when it comes to the spiritual things, there's just no way we can do it on our own.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, let me put it this way. It's not a work that will add points to you or anything. It's not going to do anything.
No, even then, like, for example, the fruits of the spirits, they're not developed by us or by ourselves.
No, it's through Christ.
It's through Christ.
Right?
Because even the rich person that did get rich, he still has no self-control because he still spoils his heart to whatever he wants.
Correct. He has a desire to achieve great things in this world.
Exactly.
Right? When in the end it means nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So back to the fasting thing. Obviously the world has learned so many different things about fasting. Oh my God. Intermittent fasting, or it could be anything, right? And that's fine too. It is healthy. To an extent, it's healthy. And if you want to do it for your health, that's great. But one should never mix it up with the spiritual versus vanity, if you will. Because when you're fasting for your health, inevitably it turns into vanity.
No,
I'm sorry,
right.
but that's the truth.
Yeah, no, it's the truth.
I say that because it has happened to me. I've done it before. Inevitably, it ends up being about me, about being vain. And so when you fast, you want it to be in the presence of God, very spiritual, right? And so going back to that verse, Philippians 4:13, it's in no regard to do anything with like the physical, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. Back in 2011, I was working in painting. I got okay at it. I was pretty good at it. Not like there's some guys who are really good at it, but it's not like your body feels it. So I wanted to make more money, right? I go to construction. Dude, that was it's a different type of movement. I started to get blisters on my hands. Like, bro, like they would pop as I was working. I was bleeding. I had to keep going, right? And there were moments in my head where I made them. I was like, God, you know, Philippians 13. I know.
Sorry,
I know. It's cringe.
Look, I've done it too.
Yo, it's cringy.
It's
I know.
super cringy.
But now when I reflect on it, I was like, that's so pathetic. That has nothing to do with it. It just meant that my body wasn't used to that type of job. You know what I mean? So how can you say, oh, through God? Like, no, it's just my body wasn't used to that type of work. Dude, I had a fever for like a whole week, like for like 4 days.
So you were in bed, you're like Philippians 4:13. You're probably like in bed, like Philippians.
Dude, yeah, but it was the reality was, dude, it was pathetic.
No, it's
pathetic,
dude. I fall into that trap too, bro.
But whenever, as the years passed, I would recognize and realize How pathetic, because that has nothing to do with it.
Nope. It has nothing to do
It's
with
just
it.
my body wasn't used to it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now when we talk about these things, the strength really, what Paul talks about there, it has to do with the spiritual.
Dude, it just makes sense why it would be for the spiritual, because that's something that we can't really see, but it's something so powerful.
You can't see, but you can feel.
Yo, you can feel it. Yeah, yeah.
You can feel it with your five senses, if that's weird, if you know what I mean.
No, it's so true.
Right? So like when you undergo that spiritual journey, call it what you want, when you fast with God in his presence, you're attached to his strength. You could, like, let's say you're fasting and all, you don't feel nothing, like nothing.
Yeah,
you could
nothing.
perhaps you could feel like your mouth is dry, and you feel like I could feel like my body wants to drink water because it feels somewhat dehydrated and it wants to drink, but you're more concerned of that living water, that thirst that's being quenched. You're more concerned about that.
The living water,
and it's being fulfilled.
Correct.
And it's refreshing.
Yeah.
That it's almost to the point where you're ignoring what the body wants.
And you know what's so crazy? It's just like, because, I work in construction too.
Right.
And like, when I'm fasting, I don't say anything, because fasting is secret.
Right.
But I'm just like, how am I making it through the day? Like, it's like
you're functioning properly.
I'm like, this has to be supernatural.
And that's with no
food, no water,
right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, nah, this has to be supernatural. There's no way, because I would have given in by lunchtime.
Yeah.
I'm usually hungry, starving by lunchtime.
And just to clarify, this is not to boast about who's better. No one's on a pedestal. We're all sinners, but we're his children now, created new, being built, right?
Correct.
So that being said, like, it is a moment of, you could say holiness. It's sacred. If you're going to fast, it's sacred. So your way of thinking, everything, what you hear, what you see, right? How you speak, right? If in that moment you've dedicated that day with him and it's still being dedicated, that strength that you have with him you should be attached to it. But the question is, at what moment does it detach where you might not even notice, and then you start you're almost like doing it on your own?
No,
you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean. And no, I've had moments of fasting where like throughout the day where I'm working,
right,
dude, I feel like I'm dying, dude. I feel like it feels like I'm carrying like 4 logs behind my back.
Right.
Bro.
So at that point, it's like you're doing it on your own.
Exactly.
Like, that's your own work.
No, and that makes sense. That's why I think in one of our episodes about fasting, we did say time is irrelevant to God, correct? Because now I understand what that means now. Back then, I understood like a tiny quarter of it. Now I'm starting to understand another quarter of it. And I think what it means is like, yes, time is irrelevant to God, but you're not doing it on your own strength. You're doing it through God's strength. So there will be a time where God will be like, okay, my will has been done here. Give into your fast. Yeah. And discernment has to come into play.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're in that fast with him, his strength is endless, right?
Correct.
So shouldn't you have the strength to keep going with him?
Exactly.
Because he's giving you that strength to keep going, right?
Yeah.
But at what moment do you detach? Because it's not him.
No.
His strength is there.
It's always there.
Right? So it has to be you.
Yeah.
So at what moment does it start becoming your own work and not God's work?
Boom, right there.
You know what I mean?
Dicho hecho. Yeah, that's how it is. No, that's how I see it. That's how I see the time is irrelevant to God. So that means, he's endless. His power is endless. It's just we're the ones that are like, because things are in front of us all the time and we see them, and sometimes those things can like deviate us from being there present and still and like seeing everything as nothing.
Okay, so for example, I'll give you an example. Like one time, I was undergoing that sacred moment with him, and it was so, I don't even know how to say it. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I'm, and to do it while you're working in construction, That's a heavy, right? All I could say to God was like, you know, God, this is in your hands, but it's a flaming passion in my heart to want to.
Correct.
Do that, right?
Yeah.
So you will give me the strength, your strength, because I know your strength is endless, correct?
Amen.
So this day was going on, you know, we're working, construction, it's heavy, sweating under the sun and everything. But dude, I was okay. I didn't feel famished. I didn't feel nothing. But you know what started to happen? It was almost like if I was seeing everything happen before me. As like God was like moving within the chessboard. People calling to want to go see a job. Another person calling to saying yes to the estimate. It was like happening like that. And it makes sense because God, at the end of the day, he's the one who softens and hardens the heart of many. So who am I to say? Out of all the estimates, he could be the one hardening and softening the heart. Not because of my own work or no. It's because he's in control. Not because if I do a mistake or if I don't do a mistake, he's going to do that accordingly or not. No. He's in control. And so it almost felt like I was in a watchtower. Like, you know, the airport.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
It literally felt like that.
So
everything was just lining up and I'm like, dude. And I was doing nothing.
And that was all God's strength right there, right?
Dude, like I was almost like seeing like him at the chessboard just moving.
So the question is, does God hate it when you try to do it on your own strength? Does God hate it?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. He has to because it's you're doing it on your own works.
You have to rely on him.
Okay, so I have another question too.
All right, go for it.
So those people, so like Paul says, you can have all these gifts, but if you don't have love, you're nothing. Basically, like if you're not like relying on the source of love, which is God. God is the source of love. Am I right?
Well, he's the source of everything.
No, but I'm saying, I know that, but I'm saying he's love. God is love.
He is love.
So when Paul said that, you can have all these things. So those people healing, prophesying, all this stuff, right?
You could do all those things.
So those people that do it on their own works.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
Like those people that do it on their own works, does God hate that? The fact that they're healing, they're prophesying all this stuff, but they're doing it on their own works, because that is possible to do it on your own works, because they can't, you know, they can do it, but without love, meaning like God is love. That means they're not doing it on God's strength.
Yes. So this is where you have to have the ability to discern, right? And test all spirits.
I agree. No, yeah, that's why it does say that in scripture.
And Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world by the renewing of the mind, and so that you may know the perfect will of God." That's another thing too, right?
Yeah.
So, if what Paul is saying, you could do all these things. You can speak in angelic tongues, prophesy, all of this, and you don't have love, you are nothing. But what love is he referring to? It has to be the love of God.
Correct, yeah.
And if you love God, like Jesus said, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. He has to be referring to that love. Because if you love God, you also love your neighbor. If you know how to forgive your neighbor, God will also forgive you. Come on. It's all together. Now, you're saying, but what of those who have no love, yet they're able to do all these things?
Is it their own? Yeah. Is it like their own strength?
If Paul said, if you do all these things, right, and you don't have love,
You have nothing.
you have nothing. The question you're asking is, where is their source of power coming from?
Yeah.
If they don't have love.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you want me to blow your mind?
Go ahead, blow my mind.
What did Christ say to those who said, Lord, we did this in what?
Oh, in your name. Get away from me, you
He
workers.
He said, stay away from me, you work of iniquity. I don't know you.
Wow. So that means they were getting their strength from.
Hold on. What did he say to his disciples when they were, taking out demons from people?
Rejoice.
Rejoice.
That your name is written in the book of life. Yeah.
Not that you could do that.
Yeah.
Right? So it seems to be that God's power, you can somehow have access to it, and it will not go in vain. Because even though you might not have love, those who are receiving it will come to Christ. So he has to let it happen no matter what. Oof. Did that just blow your mind?
No, dude, it's just like the covenant with David.
Yeah. What about it?
Like when it fell and then,
and they left it at the house of Obed.
Yeah, they got blessed.
He was getting blessed.
Yeah,
and David didn't understand why.
Yeah, he didn't.
While they were
understand
doing something wrong.
Exactly.
So the same is true. God will allow it to happen because there will be those who will be blessed and will come to God, although they might not have love and they're nothing. Others are coming to God. It's like what Isaiah 55 says. My will is higher than yours. My ways are higher than yours. It's like the rain comes to the ground and it does what it wants. That's how his word never comes back to him. When he says it, it comes and it does what it needs to be done. It never comes back in vain. Is that crazy?
Dude, that's so true. But that sucks though for the person that is a worker of iniquity.
Yeah, that Paul did say you're nothing.
Yeah.
But God allows it because his word has to fulfill itself. And if that person that has the gift of prophecy, who can heal and all this, and might not have love, he's nothing. They're nothing. But that person receiving it is coming to who? It's coming to God.
Yeah, bro. Dude, but that sucks.
Yeah.
For that person.
Yeah.
That sucks. I'm not
gonna lie, so going back to that moment of like when you're fasting, right? You want to be in that place with him where that strength is there, endless. You want to be attached to it. But at what point do you detach from it? Because it's you. It's not God.
Wow. So when we're working in God's business, when we're in God's business, we got to be very vigilant and diligent when we work on this stuff, because sometimes it seems like what you're saying is that we can fall into that trap of doing it on our own strength without even realizing.
And it happens subtly, yeah.
Would you say that is like pride in disguise?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because Paul called out Peter and Barnabas. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, he said, "You hypocrites," right?
Yeah. Yeah, because...
Jeez.
Yeah. So, like, the heart is deceitful, you know? And, you know how everybody, well, God created me to be this way. No. He created Adam and Eve perfect. Anything after that, it's a fallen state. That's why he sent his son. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
so true.
we always have to, like, remind ourselves our heart is deceitful. We have to trust in him completely. So, back to that verse, Philippians 4:13, that strength. I can do all things through Christ that, you know, strengthens me. What does that mean? And are you going to apply it because you can't grab a shovel? Are you going to apply it because you can't run a mile in 7 minutes? Like, are you going to apply it when, like, you can't figure something out? Like, no, that's physical world. We're talking about something spiritual. Through Christ, I can do all things that strengthens me. You have a problem with lust? Through Christ, I can do all things that strengthens me. Addiction? Through Christ. That's the strength right there. Whatever it is. Pornography, whatever, drugs, alcoholism, whatever it is, homosexuality, transgenderism, all of these things, through Christ, I can do all things that strengthens me. What does that mean? That you now want to serve him. That you now want to surrender all of you. Through Christ, I can do all things. That is the strength.
Yeah, and the old has passed away and the new has come.
God help me do a home run here. Through Christ, I can do all things. Really? No, absolutely not.
Or like the World Cup.
Like, again, I'm not saying like any endeavor you take is bad. No, whatever it is, go for it. Like, you know, if like you were an athlete wrestling, right? I like playing soccer. I broke my knee playing soccer a sophomore year, right? But like, whoever is hearing this, whether you lose or win, doesn't matter. You want to be a good athlete, practice, work out, do what you have to do. God has nothing to do with that. If you win or lose, oh well. But if God allows you to get to that point, make sure that he is first in your life. And so through that, you can proclaim his name to those who need to hear so that they can come to Christ. Right?
I agree.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To anybody and anything you do. Right? If you want to pursue music, if you want to pursue to be a great businessman or businesswoman, whatever it is, do what you have to do. But in the end, God has to be first. If you're going to want to pursue him and you really want to use that phrase, through Christ that strengthens me, it pertains to being in his presence, because this flesh doesn't want to be there. So it has to be submitted to the Spirit so that the Spirit can grow with Christ, through Christ, and do all these things. You know what I mean?
I totally understand what you're saying. Wow. Now, ever since I gotten closer to God, now I understand what Philippians 4:13 means.
Yeah.
And I used to, because on Instagram they always promote it. I'm not gonna lie, they make some really cool videos, and they had Philippians 4:13,
right?
And they had some really cool music in the back. I'm like, dude, that's fire.
I mean, I get it,
but now I'm just like, that's so foolish. No offense.
Yeah, it's
because now I understand what it means, bro. Now I really, really understand what it means.
It's like, for example, like one of those days that I was undergoing that moment with God. It was like 2:00 and I guess going to 3, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I don't feel nothing, but God, through you, I can do all things. So let's keep going, right?
Yes.
But at what moment? Because I was like, God, I don't. At what moment is it me that I'm doing this? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Let's do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm down to do your work.
Not my will, but your will. Yeah.
Because I was created to do the good work. Right.
Yeah.
I have faith in that. Right.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally know what you mean.
Right. And so I think that's very important. A question that you ask. Interesting.
What was it again? Sorry, I'm slow.
No, it's about the question you asked about the fasting.
Oh,
in the beginning.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I asked a few. Okay,
yeah. Super important as a Christian. Whether, let me just clarify, and then when I mean by clarify, I mean brothers and sisters who hold the foundation of the gospel, right? Correct, versus the other false doctrines, right? I'm talking about the ones who hold the firm foundation of the gospel. That could be the Christian Orthodox, a devout Catholic, although I may disagree with certain things they do, right? But we're a family in Christ. If you're a Christian that does not hold that firm foundation of the basic fundamentals of the gospel in which Jesus taught, then I don't know what you are and I don't know what it is. I just want to clarify that, right? So to whoever is listening, understand, right, that he is the firm foundation. If you're not in that firm foundation, you must be on quicksand.